At the end of this video, you will be able to define scaffolding, state the importance of scaffolding, comprehend the process of scaffolding, and identify the role of educator in the same. Scaffolding is a vital pedagogical strategy coined by Vygotsky and developed by Brunner. It is a process by which a child is temporarily guided or supported by an adult in accomplishing a task which otherwise a child would not have achieved. The temporary guidance is to enable the child to move from a level of competence to the next higher level in the process of learning. And now let us understand why scaffolding has to be adopted. It is a known fact that the children vary in their aptitude, interests, attention span, personality traits, competence, talents, cultural backgrounds, temperament, and so on and so forth. No child is unique. With such wide variations posing a more significant challenge, how can an educator achieve a common goal of the curriculum? Here, the pedagogy, scaffolding gains significance. Scaffolding is considered to be an effective strategy when compared to others as it is highly individualistic. Now, on to the process of scaffolding. Scaffolding is a metaphor or a temporary structure that provides the right amount of support that a child needs to complete a task or to solve a problem which otherwise would not have been completed or addressed by the child on his own. The process of scaffolding in assisting a child in working within her EZPD, which is called as a zone of proximal development, was illustrated to you in the 7th module of this course, termed as Vygotsky's socio-cultural theory. But just as a recap, look into the illustration. Now, through this illustration, let us understand what is the educator's role in scaffolding. Now, on to the educator who is going to assess what does a child know on his own. Closely observe the child's competencies, abilities, and skills. Ask yourself, can the child do it alone or can he do only with assistance? Analyze if the child has tried this before. Identify the activity that would provide an appropriate challenge to the child so that he can move on to the next level of learning by accomplishing the previous one. And now on to the aspect of what can the child do if supported. Spend enough time with the child to support and guide him to accomplish a set goal. Provide necessary resources, verbal and non-verbal guidance, and even the needed equipments. Proper guiding can facilitate the child to move from one level to the next higher level of competency. The third aspect what the educator should know is trying to understand what is beyond the reach of the child. Analyze the competency level that is beyond the reach of the child by continuously observing the child's progress. At the same time, try to extend the understanding of competency and skill through other teaching strategies such as acknowledging, questioning, demonstrating, or modeling. For effective scaffolding, the educator should provide the right amount of challenge or goal so that the child doesn't give up or fail. Though the educator takes up a more significant role in the initial stage of scaffolding, the responsibility has to be gradually released to the learner, the child, and at the end of the process, the child assumes the whole responsibility of mastering a task. Now the illustration would show you how the responsibility in scaffolding on the part of the educator and on the part of the child changes over time. The educator, after witnessing the mastery of a task by the child without assistance, has to provide a new challenge or a new zone of proximal development. And the process again continues. If a child masters the skill of drawing a straight vertical line, the next challenge can be drawing a straight horizontal line. After the mastery of both the skills, the next EZPD or zone of proximal development can be to write the alphabet YAL, a combination of the horizontal and the vertical line. And now let us see the methods of providing scaffolds. The teaching pedagogy scaffolding is effective when the educator employs one or the other methods or even a combination of techniques in providing scaffolds to young children. Some of the methods are detailed below with a typical example of building towers with blocks. First scaffolding technique is to provide hints. When a child is seen to have trouble in completing the task of building tower and the tower keeps falling, The educator can suggest in the form of cues or partial solution for the child to master the task. For example, provide them with a hint of having bigger blocks at the bottom. The second scaffolding technique is asking questions. Questioning the child based on the task of building a tower encourages a child to think and explore the alternatives. For example, ask a child, what will happen if the block tower is built as a very tall one? Then the third technique is providing multiple answers. When the child finds it difficult to answer the question asked, don't leave it aside. Now the educator should provide scaffolds in the form of multiple answers, wherein the child can pick up one as the best. This strategy allows them to answer independently. Then the next technique is to demonstrate. Many children are good at imitating. For such children, an educator can provide scaffolds by demonstrating a similar version of the building tower along with the child. The next scaffolding technique is introduce property. Apart from the material, the building blocks that is provided to the child, the educator can offer liberty for the child to use any resources within the classroom setting to build the tower tall without falling. Now the child would examine the resources and might come out with an idea of using books at the bottom of the tower. Then another technique is very important one. It's offering encouragement. Acknowledge the child for even a small attempt and praise him for every completion. For example, by saying good job, the educator enhances the self-confidence and competence to further the learning potential of the child. To recap, the three teaching pedagogy, namely positioning, empowering and scaffolding as a strategy in the early childhood education curriculum, when comprehended and effectively implemented, the child development and learning potential can be enhanced with ease. Thank you.